לא טוב היות האדם לבדו.
Oh,
So we haven't learned in a while because he didn't feel so well. So Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hofech Cholim, should be well from now on.
Bezrat Hashem.
And we should get chances to finish all these books and many more in good health.
With you.
With me. Don't do it by yourself. לא טוב היות האדם לבדו. It's not good for man to be by himself. יעשה לו עזר כנגדו. I will make him a helpmate. כתיב כי שמש ומגן הווי אלוקים. Really, this mimer is going to talk about what does it mean that he needs a helpmate kenegdo, which really means against him.
Right.
But we all know the Rashi and all that. But here he's going to take this as the first instance of the very important principle that Hashem created the world in such a way that man has an end to him. There's something against him, which is really what he's pushing up against. And that is necessary for a human being to be a human being. He needs something kenegdo. He needs something to push against.
It's like a car with brakes and accelerator.
Yeah.
You just keep pushing on the accelerator, and eventually you're going to hit the brick wall. So
Maybe not if you're in space.
Okay. But then you need brakes, to slow you down. That's what the woman's supposed to do. The woman's supposed to slow you down a little bit.
Right. So the slowing down here is really, he's going to explain it as reflection. Okay? That what you really need is for light to reflect. So whatever comes down from Hashem, if you're not reflecting it back up to Hashem, it's missing the point. So that's really what it means that he shouldn't be alone. Alone is like to be transparent. And that's his understanding here. And to have a helpmate against you is to have something that stops the transparency, that allows whatever came down from above to be reflected back. In other words, when a person is alone, they are transparent. One of the biggest principles is that Hashem and Elokim, the two main names of Hashem, are like the sun and its shield. פירוש הוויה הוא גילוי והמשכת הערה להיות מקור להתהוות העולמות. Havaya, the first name, represents the revelation of godliness, which serves as a source for the creation of the worlds. כי הוויה מלשון התהוות כנודע. So even though it's written Yud Kei Vav Kei, but we use the permutation Havaya. And Havaya means becoming. Havaya. That which is, being, becoming. So Havaya represents the world becoming. That's the light coming down. And Hashem revealing himself through Ma'aseh Bereisheet, through the creation of the world. And the sun right in my face. It's like Havaya, Shemesh, where's the Magen? Where's the shield? אך אם היה הערה זו מתגלית ונמשכת להיות חיות לנבראים כמו שהיא בעצמותה, but if we would receive the sunshine directly like this, I can't see anything. לא היו נבראים כלל על אופן שם עתה. So creation couldn't be the way it is now. How is it now? כי לא היה יכול להיות מציאות יש ונפרד, because now we have a separate feeling of existence, of being. We feel separate from godliness. We don't feel that we have to do what Hashem tells us.
We can imagine that in doing an Avera, no one is listening.
Right. In fact, even if we're not doing an Avera, even when we're doing good, we imagine that it's us doing the good. So that's what it means to feel separate. So it's right in Bereisheet, he starts with this very important problem in the human condition, which is that you feel separate from any kind of authority, which you feel separate from anything. You even don't feel dependent on godliness to sustain you. We don't feel that. There's no way that we can feel that it's godliness that's keeping us alive. We can only feel that we're alive, but we can't feel what the source is. So if there was no shield, if it was only Havaya, if it was only the revelation of Hashem, all we would feel was that we were one with Hashem. If there was only a revelation of Hashem. But now that there's a shield, we feel separate. מאחר שאור וחיות המהווה היה מאיר לה בגילוי, אלא היו בבחינת ביטול המציאות מכל וכל, כמו שהוא כמה יתברך דכולה כלא חשיבה. So if there was no shield, all we would feel was bittul, complete nullification. And that we would see the world the way Hashem sees it, as if nothing is of, not of significance, but of independent significance.
Maybe that'd be very good if we were totally bittul.
Okay, that's one possibility. But since Hashem wants you to have bittul, He wants you to gain it. He doesn't want you to have it naturally. So He had a different thought. So therefore Hashem made a shield, or a sheath, into which He placed this revelation, this name Havaya. And that's what the name Elokim represents. That it conceals and it diminishes the power of the light of the godliness that creates the world. And it does this through might, or judgments, which really mean breaking things apart, or tzimtzum, which means to diminish or to conceal. Then He allows for the formation, for the being of something that's separate, something that exists and it feels separate from God. And that's why Elokim also means that He's a master, He has power. Why? Because the name Elokim allows you can't exercise power when there's nothing to exercise it over. So by there being the name Elokim, which is the shield, which diminishes the light of Havaya, there become separate beings, and now it's possible to rule over them, to have authority over them. It's a very interesting thing that when you really people who say there's nobody who has authority over me. I'm completely independent. I'm completely self-reliant. They don't know it, but really what they're trying to achieve is godliness. They're trying to be a god. The problem is that they don't necessarily acknowledge Hashem. They see themselves this way. And usually, if they have real need to feel completely free, then they don't want to rule over anybody else. Meaning they don't see anything else as really being separate from them. They can be terrible people and completely self-centered, but they don't want to rule over somebody. They don't want to dominate someone, right? They want everybody to have complete freedom, but they can be very bad in the sense that they don't consider anybody else's feelings or needs or whatever to be important to them. Kula kamei kula chashiv, like everything is nothing for them. On the other hand, they won't try to dominate.
You can do whatever you like, so long as it's what
and that's what anarchy is. Basically, yeah, it's whatever you want, as long as it's what I want. Okay, it's something like that, and they don't even see the problem with that. Why? Because they really don't see anybody else. It's really that nobody else really exists. Because the moment that you come to this total feeling of there's no authority over me, so nobody else can really exist.
Why should there be authority over somebody else?
It's very interesting that it's like the moment you seek total freedom is the moment that you give up on anybody else having a separate existence, really. And it's very paradoxical, because on the one hand they keep talking about everybody should have the same freedom. But if you can't stand authority, you really are, in your eyes, really nothing has value. It's almost that authority gives the separation between individuals. It's like the individuation occurs because there is authority. And authority really means that, here in this case, srara, what he calls here, that Elokim is srara, authority allows for separation. It's not completely intuitive in the beginning. It's almost like one of these Einsteinian equivalences that you don't think in the beginning that they're equivalent. But it's hard to see why is it that authority creates separate people. But that's sort of what the sages said when they said, "Haveh mitpalel b'shloma shel malchut." Pray for the peace or the welfare of the kingdom, of the authority, really. Because if it weren't for the authority, people would swallow one another. And it really means that. There wouldn't be individuals. So the anarchists, they have this, again, it's paradoxical. It's hard for them to wrap their head around it. It really is. But the more you want to destroy authority, the more you're destroying the separation between people. And authority is really what allows people to lead individual lives. And it's an equivalence. It's hard at first to get, but if you think about it long enough, I think it makes sense. ובחינה זו היא הנקראת בשם שכינה. כי שכינה מלשון ושכנתי בתוכם. And Elokim, this dominion, this authority that Hashem takes over the world, that's called the Shechina. Why? Because there's
the problem of Korach.
Right.
Korach wanted everybody to be equivalent.
Right. And then he swallowed up. He swallowed up because that's exactly what he's thinking. He doesn't realize he was hit with the consequences of his own thought. It's like when Moshe Rabbeinu says that if the ground swallows him, that'll be a sign that Hashem chose me. He's not just inventing some terrible, horrible end for Korach. He's analyzing the end of the problem, the real problem that the Korach is presenting. Theoretically, at some point, we will reach that there will be only the light of Hashem, and there won't be anything concealing it. That the diminishing and the contraction won't be there. But that's not the real meaning. It doesn't mean really that there won't be any sense of Elokim. There will always be Elokim, some Elokim. There always has to be some distance between the Creator and the creation. It's just that there will be less distance. It'll be quantitatively and qualitatively a different sense of godliness in the world. It won't be the way it is now. ובחינה זו היא נקראת גם כן בשם שכינה, we said. This is also called the Shechina, Elokim, kingdom, Malchus. כי שכינה היא משום שכנתי בתוכם, because really Shechina means I will dwell between them, in them. שעל ידי מידה זו הוא מתלבש בנבראים. Because, like we said, islapshus, for something to be enclosed within us, to be contained, to be synthesized into us, there has to be a separation. So Shechina is really a sense of separation. Last night I tried to explain this to seminary girls. I don't know how much they got it, but I tried to explain to them that if a husband, what does Rabbi Akiva mean when he says, Ish v'isha zachu isha Shechina b'neim? That if a man and a woman merit, then the Shechina is between them. What does he mean? He means that they need to daven together. They need to. What do you mean? It means to say that if they respect each other as separate individuals with separate thoughts, separate needs, but they want to be together, then the Shechina can dwell in between. But if one tries to swallow the other, then the Shechina has no room to stand, because the Shechina is that separation.
But how does that fix in with that it says that the man is supposed to dominate the woman?
Still, מכבדה יותר מגופו. In the same way that you need to dominate your body, but you have to respect it. Like the Gemara says, מכבדה יותר מגופו, or the Rambam, not sure who said it. You have to respect it more than you respect yourself. To dominate doesn't mean to force somebody. It means to have a sense of responsibility for them, a sense of authority. So if I have a sense of responsibility for my children, it doesn't mean that I have to
whip them every day.
not every day, every other day. Doesn't mean I have to come at them with anything harsh. If I'm very smart, I talk all day. You talk and talk and talk and talk until eventually something seeps in. And the Alter Rebbe's explanation, of course, sublimates it even further, sweetens it even more. And says, V'im shalbach, dominate really means that you have to listen to what your wife says and reinterpret it. Treat it as an allegory, treat it as a mashal. Understand that really what's happening is Hashem is talking to you through your wife. That's what it really means meaning to dominate is really to dominate the speech. Whatever she says has to be like clay in your hands. And you have to think about what message is coming from above and reaching me through what she said. That's how the Alter Rebbe explained it. Nimshol mishalim, to make allegories, to understand what she said. So the Shechina, Elokim, authority, all these breaking stuff into little pieces, this is what allows the divine light to be contained within the person. I think we have to end because we have to end. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Are we going to be able to learn tomorrow?
Okay.
Can we learn at 8:30?
No problem.
Be'ezrat Hashem. Yofi. Everything will be fine, and you'll just sleep less.
Why is that good?
Because you need to live a lot longer now.